Hey, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. We did it. We're back. We're live. Welcome to the show, everybody. Oh my god. We're so ready. We're so back. Do you guys feel it? You guys feeling me here? Anybody feeling me? Does anybody want to feel me? You guys ready to roll? All right. Let's get to it. Give me a few more moments, you guys. Getting a couple things squared away. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Here we go. 1, nothing wrong with me. 2, nothing wrong with me. 3, nothing wrong with me. 4, we're going to copy Warren Buffett's portfolio a little bit. In fact, quite a bit. We're going to go over a lot of his portfolio. We're going to copy it to the best of our ability. Now, do I recommend it? No, you got to talk to a financial advisor and make sure you're being smart about this stuff. Always talk to a financial advisor. It's a big deal. Talking to a financial advisor works, in my opinion. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but sometimes it works. We're going to copy the F out of Warren Buffett, all right? That's the key. That's the plan. Are you feeling me, G-Dog? Are there any G-Dogs in the house that are feeling me right now? Dog eat dog. Are you in the house? Can I get an amen? One moment, everybody. We're getting things set up here. I could see a TR. I could see Most Toast. I will... Most Toast, I'm not apologizing to you, douche. God dang, dude. Get out of here. I ain't apologizing to you, dude. You're a toxic piece of you-know-what. Yeah. What? Oh, Star Trek Armada now. Sorry about that, folks. I accidentally. Most Toast, you gaslighting. Dude, get out of here, dude. That's because you said you're at home sick, and I think you're a liar and a sociopath. No. Please go away. Like, this is the first time I've ever told somebody to go away, but I won't block you. But if you're going to make it uncomfortable for me, I'm going to make it uncomfortable for you, G-Dog. I will crash out. Because I know it's what you want. Give me a few moments, guys. Any yak is wondering, you never answered me. I know. I don't ever answer anybody, dude. What are you talking about, bro? My brony brothers? Give me a second, people. Hold your horsies. Calm your boobs. Okay? Can you all calm your tits? Just for a moment. Still getting a couple things prepared. Sorry about that. Most toast, go to hell. Anyway, let's keep going. Sometimes you just can't negotiate with guys like that. Gotta just tell them to F off. Yeah, you and me, we can ride on a star. If you stay with me, girl, we can rule the world. Yeah, you and me, we can ride up the sky. Look, Most Toast, I am sorry. It's just you haven't been the nicest dude to me on a lot of these. You just come in here and talk about how effing great you are, which I think is a lie. And no, I'm not falling for it. You're a sociopath. I can't do that. Sorry, bud. I probably will not respond to any more of your messages on here. Just go to heck. You gonna apologize to me though for being a total see you next Tuesday? Yeah, you should apologize to my ass though. I take back the apology. I'm not gonna let jackasses like you walk all over me. Okay, so we're going to pull up LibreOffice. We have a spreadsheet of my boy Warren Buffett's portfolio. Are you guys ready to copy the F out of this portfolio? Like, how sprung are all you guys right now? I'm assuming there's a lot of people sprung just thinking about this. I understand if you are. I get it. I understand you. I feel you. 'Cause I need you and I want you crawling underneath my skin. Like the hunger burning to find the place I've never been. Yeah, no, I don't really care if you apologize, to be honest. Your apology means nothing to me. Just stop. I've met plenty of sociopaths like you, dude. Don't want to deal with you. Sociopath. Dude, Most Toast. We have never been friends. Ever. As far as I know. Unless you're like some jackass who's pretending to be somebody else on here. Which is most of the internet. But don't buddy old pal me, dude. Hell no. Hell no. 'Cause I won't take it, man. Okay, so I'm going to try to make this as big as possible. Just like how I try to make my dong as big as possible using the Bathmate. All right, please, simp. Let's look at this portfolio together. So we're going to copy my boy, our boy, where he's all of our boys at this point. Warren friggin' Buffett, dude. We're going to copy our boy Warren Buffett. Got it? Get it. All right. Too close to outwit it. Get it? All right, so first off, Warren Buffett's biggest holding is Apple Computers, Apple Incorporated, taking up 22.31% of his portfolio. I'm actually shocked that Warren Buffett didn't get into Apple a lot sooner. That was the biggest, craziest part to me. Never understood that. But yeah, I think Warren Buffett's the greatest of all time, man. Now, but yeah, 22% of his portfolio is Apple, one single holding. That would never make me feel comfortable. Now, I know he's a big shareholder in the company. That's a lot of shares, man. It's crazy how many shares he owns. I don't think Apple is a forever growth stock. I do have my concerns about Apple for sure. Like, I just don't think it is the company that everybody makes it out to be. I'll just put it that way. I do believe that it's a great company, but the moment that Steve Jobs passed away or was no longer with the company, Steve Jobs was the visionary behind that company. Steve Jobs is the reason Apple got to where it was at. But he was also the reason why Apple almost crumbled, too. Steve Jobs was definitely a double-edged sword, for sure, with Apple Incorporated. Anyway, so the second one on here is American Express, ticker symbol AXP, takes up 18.78% of his portfolio. Look at how many shares he owns, man. Look at all those shares. American Express is a fine company, by the way. One of the reasons why I'm okay with having a high-yield savings account with American Express is because of the faith that Warren Buffett has in it. Two, it's a great company. It's FDIC insured as well, but it's one of those companies that's so big, it's one of those financial institutions, it's a behemoth, that it really probably wouldn't fail because they're just so financially sound. They know what they're doing. Amex is also a credit card company, dude. And man, a lot of people have Amex cards nowadays, and they love using that Amex card and racking up debt. So yeah, that takes up 18.78% of Mr. Buffett's portfolio. And then we got Bank of America, takes up 11.12% of Mr. Buffett's portfolio right there. A lot of shares, man. We're getting into, let's see, that's 605 million shares. And then we got my favorite stock, one of my favorite stocks to hold of all time. KO, Coca-Cola, baby, taking up 10.99% of the portfolio with 400 million shares owned. That is a lot of shares, baby. And if you want to figure out how much that's worth, just take the 400 million, times that by whatever the current share price is right now, and you'll be able to figure out exactly what that position is worth. And we got Chevron Corp, CVX, baby. 6.79% of Buffett's portfolio is Chevron, baby. I love Chevron. Chevron's the only place I go to get gas, straight up. I don't go to any other place. I know Chevron's going to have the best gas, the best fuel additives. It's going to make sure my engine's good at the end of the day. So, yeah, I am all for it. All for it. We got MCO, Moody's Corp, 4.81% of his portfolio. Crazy. And that is 24 million shares. I think I have, last time I checked, I only have one share of Moody's. I love Warren Buffett, but the one thing that Buffett and I disagree on very heavily is the concept of diversification. Now, I'm one of those guys. I'm of the firm belief that sometimes diversification's not as great as it sounds. It's not that I don't believe in diversification. Hold on, I'm going to test the sound real quick. It's not that I don't believe in concentrating my portfolio too much. Well, I don't. I'm of the firm belief that sometimes diversification is not as great as it sounds. It's not that I don't believe in diversification. Hold on, I'm going to test the sound real quick. It's not that I don't believe in concentrating my portfolio too much. Hold on, I'm hearing double sound. You guys hear me too? You guys hear me like twice? I feel like I'm coming in 2 times. Hold on. I feel like somehow... Are there 2 microphones being used? OBS camera, live chat. Capture card. Oh my god. Wait. The capture card is also... What? That's so weird. No wonder. I'm coming in twice. Where else am I coming in? Okay, so microphone Yeti. That's good. It better be just the Yeti. I think we figured out some of the problems why some people don't want to stay. Don't blame them. They're hearing me twice. It's too many times. Give me 1 second, folks. I think we just narrowed down a big flaw in the audio. Yeah, and if we figure this one out, this is crazy. Because, yeah, I was listening to myself on the mobile. And, yeah, I was hearing myself twice, dude. 2 times. I'm just seeing if I'm seeing anything else. The capture card audio is gone. I don't even know why that's there. I know why it's there, but it doesn't need to be there. So we're just going to remove it. If I ever decide to do video game streaming, I'll just use regular OBS and call it good. Okay, so live chat, great. Capture card, great. OBS, window, I don't even know why this is needed. Okay, so I think we're a little better now. Let's take a look at the audio. I don't think you guys are going to hear me double anymore. Hopefully. I don't even know why this is needed. Okay, so I think we're a little better now. Let's take a look at the audio. I don't think you guys are going to hear me double anymore. Hopefully. I don't even know why this is needed. Okay, so I think we're a little better now. Let's take a look at the audio. I don't think you guys are going to hear me double anymore. Okay, so it appears to be an improvement for sure. You're not hearing me twice, which is good. It sounds like it was a big issue before. Somehow that's been fixed. Can you hear me now, tatted up? So it appears to be an improvement for sure. You're not hearing me twice, which is good. It sounds like it was a big issue before. Somehow that's been fixed. There we go. I think the issue has been completely fixed. Thank goodness. All right, now back to our originally scheduled programming. Yeah, I could hear myself on there tatted up. Can you hear me now? Everything looks like it's going through now. Anybody else in the chat? Can you hear me? Just let me know if you can hear me or if you can't. Tatted up, don't F with me, bro. Don't F with me today, man. I'm not in the mood. Not in the mood. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Super chats are highlighted in red first. Tap the $sign to skip the line. Pretty important concept. But it is good to see you tatted up, man. You've been a big part. You don't think it's loud enough? What are you doing? Anyway. So there's Moody's Corp, which is 4.81% of the portfolio. Okay, now Okay, I know you guys are effing with me because I'm going to listen to this. Hold on. Give me 1 second. So there's Moody's Corp, which is 4.81% of the portfolio. Okay, now I know you guys are effing with me because I'm going to listen to this. Yeah, I just heard myself on the phone. I'm sounding good. Give me 1 second. So there's Moody's Corp, which is 4.81% of the portfolio. Anyway, yeah, the audio's working fine. Jeez, freaking trolls. People just trolling hard in the chat, brother. Double check your headset, tatted up, man. Double check your volume. Make sure you're good. I'm coming in just fine. Anyway, let's keep on going with the scheduled program. So, then the next holding of Warren Buffett's is, and by the way, this one of the reasons we're going over this is because a lot of people don't know where to start. What better than to copy the greatest investor known to man? He has a long-term outlook. His whole goal is to buy, hold, and never sell. Buy, hold, and never, and I mean never sell. All right? So, OXY, Occidental Petroleum Corporation, 4.32% of his portfolio. And that's a lot of shares, man. Kraft Heinz Company, KHC, is 3.26% of the Mr. Buffett's portfolio. We're kind of getting into the weeds, but we want to make sure that we cover every single aspect of his portfolio. Because here's the problem I have with Buffett's portfolio is it's just not diversified enough for me. I would feel paranoid AF to have limited diversification, right? I think he's diversified, but he's not diversified at the rate that I would feel comfortable with. I would not feel comfortable with that level. I appreciate you tatted up, I really do. I want to tell you that right now. Kaisberg, we're looking at Warren Buffett's portfolio. We're going to copy Warren's portfolio, okay? You don't have to. I say always talk to a financial advisor. Be smart about it, you know. Let's see. And then there's Chubb. Don't make any comments on that. Chubb, CB, Chubb Ltd. That's 3.04% of the portfolio. And then we're getting into the lower portions of the portfolio, where it's like maybe 1.5, 1.8% of the portfolio, okay? DVA. DaVita Incorporated. And that one is 1.87% of the portfolio. And then we got VeriSign Inc., VRSN. That one is 1.49% of the portfolio. Then we got Kroger, KR. I'm actually a little surprised at the lack of Walmart holdings. I'm actually surprised his holdings in Kroger are bigger than his holdings in Walmart. I'm pretty sure he has Walmart in here somewhere. So KR is Kroger Company. 1.39% of the portfolio is associated with that. By the way, you guys are getting a hell of an education. This is, if you are just starting out investing and you don't even know what companies are good companies, I mean, look, I'm not saying every investment that Warren has is going to be stellar forever, but I'm saying this is a good starting point. If you want to be an individual stock investor and you want to be a long-term holder, it's okay to copy the best. And sometimes having the best portfolio publicly available, and if they're a long-term holder, that's a plus. You get to know what they're long-term investing in. So knowing what Buffett is investing in is a big deal. So we got Visa Incorporated, 1.14% of the portfolio. Let's see what we got here. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm not going to lie. I don't agree with this. I do not agree with this holding, by the way. Sirius XM Holdings, SIRI. 1.07% of his portfolio is Sirius XM Holdings. I think that might be his worst investment ever. That is an investment I cannot get on board with because I think Sirius Satellite Radio, Sirius XM, is, I don't know. I think it's BS. Unless they turn the company around and become more internet-based, nobody uses satellite radio anymore. Nobody has XM satellite radio. I mean, some people do. But, like, most people just use their phones. Most people use Spotify. Most people use Pandora. You know. Or YouTube Music, one or the other. I don't know. And then we got MA, which is MasterCard Incorporated, and that's 0.87% of his portfolio. Then we got Amazon, Amazon.com. Boom, 0.85%. I'm actually a little bit surprised by this. I was expecting him to hold way more Amazon. Then we got STZ, which is Constellation Brands Class A, 0.85%. United Health Group, 0.61%. I mean, it's funny, even the ones that are like 0.5%, he owns a lot of that, of the company itself. He has such a crazy portfolio, though. His portfolio is wild. COF, Capital One Financial Group. I like Capital One, to be honest. I think their customer support sucks. But 0.59% of his portfolio is Capital One, straight up. AON PLC, Class A, 0.57% of his portfolio. And then DPZ, Domino's Pizza, 0.46. We got Ally Financial Incorporated, ALLY, 0.44%. Then we got Pool Corp, 0.39%. Let's see, LLYVK, Liberty Media, 0.34%. And then we got NUE, which is Nucor Corp, 0.33%. Then Lennar Corp Class A, 0.3%. LPX, Louisiana Pacific Corp, 0.19%. That one frog girl says, I'm in Connecticut Great Wolf Lodge right now. Heck yeah. Heck yeah, my brony brother. Get it. I just realized you guys probably can't see some of this. Hold on. There we go. All right, so we're almost done with the list. We'll kind of do an overview real quick. While we're looking over the list, I will let you know positions that I think are stupid that he has. Charter Communications Class A, 0.17%. Let's see, LLYVA, Liberty Media. Let's see, HELA, HELA. Hold on. Oh, okay, Hyco Corporation, okay. Some of these are companies that kind of lay low under the radar. You know, you don't hear about them very often, but they're great at what they do. They have positive cash flows. Hyco, I've never heard of this company in my life, but they're probably good. I mean, if Buffett's got them in his portfolio, I mean, there's probably something to it. 0.13% of his portfolio is that company, and then FW. Let's see. Is Liberty Media Formula 1C. It's like 0.12. Let's see. And then there's LAMR, which is Lamar Advertising Co. Company, Class A. Cool. 0.06%. Elysian PLC, ALLE is 0.04%. NVR is NVR Inc. Let's see, 0.03%. And then there's Lennar Corporation Class B, LEN B, let's see, 0.01%. And then LILA, Liberty Latin America Class A. Some of these I've just never heard of. But yeah, it's so funny that even though he owns a bunch of shares of these, it only takes up 0.01% of Buffett's entire portfolio. And then we got DEO, and that's Diego PLC ADR, 0.01%. Let's see, and then JEF, Jefferies Financial Group Incorporated, 0.01%. And it's crazy. Like, even though he owns like virtually down to 0% almost of his portfolio, this is still 0.001 or something like that. This one is LILAK, Liberty Latin America Class C. And then that's crazy. Virtually 0% of his portfolio. And then Atlanta Braves Holdings C. Oh, wow. I didn't know the Atlanta Braves were a publicly traded entity. The baseball team? That is something I didn't know. And there you have it. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it's a good portfolio? Do you guys think I'm a little too sprung for Mr. Warren Buffett? Do you guys think Warren even needs to take, anything to get it up? I don't think so. Crazy. Insane. That's a good portfolio though, man. Hell yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He's the OG, man. He's one of the originals. One of the best, if anything. But what do you guys think of that portfolio? Well, actually, let's overview it. Let's go back to it real quick. Let's not get rid of it too fast. Let's just go back up to the top a little bit. So, what are your guys' favorite companies that Warren Buffett invests in? Like, out of this list, because there's 42 companies that he has in his personal holdings. Like, which ones get you guys sprung? I think the holdings that get me sprung, but I think he needs to have more of, would be Amazon. I thought he had Walmart in here, but he doesn't even have Walmart. That actually pisses me off a little bit. I mean, if you're going to have Kroger, at least have Walmart in your portfolio, for God's sakes. Let's see, Occidental Petroleum, Moody's, Chevron. Coca-Cola, honestly, is, I would say, my favorite stock in Buffett's portfolio is definitely Coca-Cola. My favorite financial one is between Bank of America or Amex. I would probably choose Amex, though. I just like them better. I think I think companies that are primarily credit card companies are just way better. Let's see what else we got. We also got I like Apple, but I still think 22.31% is too much of your portfolio to have in any single stock. You're talking to a guy who's hyper diversified, so pretty much I have one share of just about every ETF. Well, not every. It's an exaggeration, but a lot of ETFs I own. I play it smart, man. I play it as smart as I can. Free Angel says definitely Kroger. Without a doubt, Kroger is Kroger's a fantastic company. Huge retailer, man. Ford Femboy says, "What's up, Unk Garza, my man, dude? They call me an Unk. I do some Unk shit." But yeah, I mean, Chevron's another one that I like if we're going to go with, like, big gas giants, man. I mean, Chevron has to take the cake. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about Buffett's portfolio, man? Do you think it's shaping up to be a good one? I mean, I still think he's just, I still consider this type of portfolio to be way too concentrated. Like, I just find it to be too concentrated. Well, you know what? He knows these businesses way better than I do. He knows what he's getting into. And he's smart about it. Me personally, I'm a dollar cost average kind of guy. I believe in spreading out my risk and making sure that my wealth is not that my wealth is not being traded away, right? I think it's good to be hyper diversified, like sincerely. Ford Femboy says he's that old dude, right? Yep. Warren Buffett is old. He's an old man. But one heck of an investor. I just want to really emphasize that. One heck of an investor. Occidental Petroleum's a pretty big company. They're pretty good. I think Kraft Heinz might be his most overrated position. Like, as much as I've always loved the company, it sucks that they're actually branching away from each other now. So I guess Kraft is branching away from Heinz, unfortunately. They thought it would be a good partnership, but they're going their separate ways. I don't know how that's going to work. Because last time I checked, I'm pretty sure I have Kraft Heinz stock somewhere. I like the fact that we live in an age where you can buy one share without paying any commission fees. Ford Femboy says, I like to invest at the casino. That is a rotten investment, my man. Don't waste your money at casinos, brother. No. I think it's a bad call, man. Not a very good call. Look, casinos are a big money waster. Probably the biggest money waster out there. And my God, I don't like seeing people... I don't like seeing people screw themselves like that. I really don't. Like, I just think that casinos... I don't know. Just wasting your paycheck away and giving it to some jackass. You know, this is why I own casinos, because I know the casino usually wins. So I own a lot of... I own real estate investment trusts that also own casino properties, too. I will say one of my beefs with Warren Buffett's portfolio is his lack of real estate investment trusts. Seriously, though. I mean, like, Warren Buffett's lack of real estate investment trust is actually kind of frustrating. Like, even though I learned how to be a value investor from Warren, there are just some asset classes he doesn't expose himself to that I think is stupid. And he talks about his circle of competence. I think circle of competence, when it comes to investing, might be the most overrated thing in the world. I think over-concentration is a problem. And it doesn't take long for somebody to read some analysis reports from other people, right? And if you're not too sure what to invest in the sector, just invest in, like, all of it. At least all the ones that seem to be good. And yeah, diversification covers for ignorance, but, like, honestly... you're protecting yourself from the uncertainty of the future as well. That's why I love diversification. I love having my wealth in multiple baskets. Because if a couple baskets get destroyed, I'm not going to cry over it. That's the point. So keeping your wealth spread out. You know, honestly, you could copy Warren Buffett's portfolio and be fine probably for the rest of your life. Hell, you could even start just buying one share of each of the companies that Buffett owns. I wonder if there's an ETF that is specifically tracks Buffett's portfolio. That'd be interesting. Like they copy it, they copycat it. That'd be awesome. I don't know if that's real or not, but if it is, I'm all for it. Because, I mean, it's good to learn from guys like Buffett, man. They know how to invest. He knows how to figure out what good companies are. So if you're copying Buffett, I mean, you're at least on board with a long-term investor. You know? I'm not a fan of his Sirius satellite holdings. Really make me angry. I think that might be his worst holdings overall. But that's just me. That's my take on it. But you know, we'll see. We'll see if he's on the right path with it. Oh, I gotta pop my back. Yeah, it's a good one, Jay. Chinese buffet. That's all you need, man. It's good food. But I appreciate it. Appreciate it, you guys. Free Angel says he should sell Sirius and buy Bitcoin. Oh no. I think he should bet against Bitcoin though. I think it would be great if Warren Buffett owned SBIT. SBIT is a great way to bet against Bitcoin. I think that's the one thing Warren Buffett's portfolio is lacking is some sort of ETF that allows him to bet against Bitcoin. SBIT would be my preference. That's the one I love. Full transparency. I love betting against Bitcoin using the SBIT. Not financial advice, not an endorsement. Transparency. I like to be transparent with you guys. I think Bitcoin is not an investment. I think it's phony baloney dildo money. It is a net negative to society and not good. It's just not good. Free Angel says Bitcoin's yield is 34% year over year. Good luck. Yeah, for now. How about the next 2 years? How about the next 3 years? Is it going to keep going up to the moon? I don't think it is. The problem with Bitcoin is it's been overhyped by financial institution exposure. Financial institutions realize that if they got enough people on board with the Bitcoin Ponzi, they could bet against it in secret. They know it has no intrinsic value. You know the institutional investors know that Bitcoin sucks and it's stupid. The only sucker in the room, in my opinion, is Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is going to bankrupt his company all on one gamble. Him thinking that Bitcoin is a long-term holding. And the fact that he buys Bitcoin in any direction it goes. It's really disturbing, man. It's really disturbing. Do you guys think Michael Saylor is the king? I like that he has Domino's Pizza, though, in his portfolio. I feel like all of these are companies that he uses personally. Like, I think he orders pizza from Domino's probably pretty frequently. He probably has some sort of health insurance from United Health. Probably drinks beers from Constellation Brands. MasterCard, Amazon, let's see. Bitcoin, I'm going to say it again, you guys. Bitcoin is a what? Ponzi scheme, all right? Past performance does not guarantee or equivalent to future performance. Bitcoin has a limit to how high it'll go. It is not gold. It isn't even digital gold. It is a digital collectible. Once again, I'm going to tell you this right now, something you need to hear if you're a Bitcoin holder. Bitcoin is a string of data. It is a digital collectible. It's not meant to be a currency. It's too stupid to be a currency. The software behind it is really impressive. But honestly, just because software is impressive does not mean that Bitcoin itself is worth anything. Free Angel, no. The stock market has companies and you can measure their value and measure the productivity of a company. You cannot measure the productivity of Bitcoin. I can't believe you would say that. The stock market is not a Ponzi scheme. You can measure the value of Coca-Cola. You can measure the value of Realty Income. You could figure out its assets over its liabilities. You could figure out how much cash flow is coming in. You could figure out many things. You could figure out how much its assets are worth. Everything that Realty Income has, everything that Coca-Cola has, everything that they do, everything they produce, they are a living, breathing company. What is Bitcoin? It is digital trash. And if you think that the stock market, if you think that the companies in the stock market are in the same league as Bitcoin, you're insane. Bitcoin's trash. You know Bitcoin's trash. You know it's a Ponzi scheme. So don't even try, Free Angel. Don't even try. The more you try to... I'm afraid that people like Free Angel are going to convince kids that Bitcoin is a real asset. That sucks. It's not a long-term holding. I would be irresponsible of you to say... I would be irresponsible of me to say it is, because it isn't. I'm not going to tell you that a lie is the truth. Never. It's not how this show works. It's not how I work. Anyway. How do you measure the productivity of the stock market? Because companies on Wall Street, don't have to be the same as a brick and mortar. What are you talking about, dude? What the fuck are you talking about? If I look... Okay, I'll give you an example. Coca-Cola. This is a company that is traded on the stock market. I can figure out what the actual value of this company is without looking at the market price based... Because the stock market's price versus the actual book value of the company are two different things. Book value is what I'm curious about the most. So what I do is I look at the balance sheets and the financial statements. I see what the company's doing. I see what it's doing, right? Coca-Cola is a productive asset. It's part of the stock market. When you look at individual stocks, you start to realize you can measure their value. What I'm trying to tell you, dude, is that you can't measure the value of Bitcoin. You just can't. It's immeasurable because there's nothing to measure. Just because the market, by the way, just because the Bitcoin market says that Bitcoin's like worth like what, $112,000 does not mean that it intrinsically is. Intrinsically, Bitcoin is worthless. I can measure the intrinsic value of a company. Hell, I could even, for most part, measure the intrinsic value of gold and silver based on their utilities and based on the utility of the material and what it can be used for. So its value is there. I don't see any value in Bitcoin. It's digital trash. It's freaking binary. It's just strings of data at the end of the day that you own. Woo. Ooh, and everybody's like, you could transfer Bitcoin all around the world. Of course you can. Of course you can. It's a public decentralized ledger. But it doesn't change the fact that Bitcoin's worthless. It doesn't change the fact that Bitcoin is worthless. It's not backed by anything. It can't be backed by anything because it's decentralized. It's private money. It's a problem. I do believe that it's a waste of energy to mine Bitcoin because it will eventually go down to zero because of its lack of intrinsic value. Lifter Dave says Powell says one negative thing and the market goes nuts. Yeah, that's okay. If the market goes nuts, that's okay, by the way, because what happens is it all eventually balances out in the end. If you're so focused on the short term that you can't look at the long term, you're the problem. You don't understand. Of course the markets are going to go crazy. That's how the stock market works. Stock market is a mixture of emotions, yet actual measuring of value. Every company you invest in, by the way, in the stock market will always inevitably be overvalued. That's just the way it is. Okay? Free Angel, okay. Nothing times nothing is still nothing. Nothing times anything is still nothing, by the way. So Free Angel says Bitcoin has utility. You can add it to a liquidity pool and earn yield. Same as putting money into a 4% high yield savings account. That's not true. They are not the same. Do you know what the bank does with the money that you put into the savings account? They don't. They put it into bonds and they put it into actual assets like maybe some stocks. And that's how you get a yield. A Bitcoin liquidity pool is basically the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You're basically letting the pool loan that Bitcoin out for whatever purposes, right? And sure, you're getting a 4% yield or whatever. You're getting whatever yield from having that Bitcoin in that liquidity pool. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin is worthless. Doesn't matter what you put it into. And if are you getting rewarded in cash or are you just getting rewarded in Bitcoin? Because here's the thing, if you put Bitcoin in a liquidity pool and you're getting rewarded in more Bitcoin, still doesn't matter. Bitcoin is still worthless. So you're putting something worthless in a worthless liquidity pool and then getting something worthless back. It's all worthless. It's all dumb. Assets matter more than anything. Bitcoin is a digital collectible, not an asset. It's not a real investment. It is a net negative to society, and I can't believe people have fallen for one of the greatest Ponzi schemes we've ever seen in our lifetime. And when that bubble pops, when that freaking Bitcoin bubble pops, I can't wait. Because the amount of harassment I've gotten from the Bitcoin bros, I really do hope you all lose your money. I've never been more serious in my life. All the Bitcoin bros who ever harassed me on this channel, I hope Bitcoin crashes, and I wish I could see the tears. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, Bitcoin is not an investment. Cryptocurrency is not the future. It's just private money. In the long run, it's just private money. This conversation is blowing my mind. I don't know how much I can handle. Crazy. And I try not to be too much of a dick. I mean that. I try not to be. Sometimes, man. Sometimes I just can't do it. All right, Mussy Boys, what are we talking about now? So 10 Light Star says, I view Wall Street as a scam. I mean, Wall Street's definitely a scammy, for sure. But the stock market's not scammy. Like, the stock market itself, things are overvalued, yes, but that's with any market like that. You're paying a premium to own something grandiose. You know what I mean? Coca-Cola is overvalued. I think it's like 25 times price over earnings. But it's always still a great company, and it's always growing. Like, it knows what it is. It's a company. It's productive. The problem with Bitcoin is Bitcoin's lazy. Bitcoin isn't a company. It's not an asset. It's not even a real investment. At the end of the day, it is a gambling tool. And what happens is eventually when the gamblers start losing money, or they're afraid they're going to lose money, or they're out of money through other gambling methods, they're going to take from their Bitcoin holdings. And then that's when sell-offs happen. Because when everybody sees that Bitcoin's going down, they start panicking and freaking out because they're retail investors. And only retail investors are foolish enough to get into something like Bitcoin and think it's an investment. So really, you're just proving to me, Free Angel, that you're just a bad investor. And I just want to help. All right? And when people start... I get really angry because I hate it when people promote Ponzi schemes on my channel. And Bitcoin is, in all definitions, the biggest Ponzi scheme we've ever seen. So I get, like I said, I get very, very irritated. Lifter Dave says, your thoughts on gold and silver? Well, they're at least a commodity. They're sought after. Gold and silver maintain what they are. Last time I checked, I don't think silver rusts. I know gold doesn't rust. Like, gold and silver are perfect. I would say they're perfect money. They're sound money. In fact, if anything, I would rather have a safe or a vault full of gold and silver than an actual savings account. Because if I ever needed to trade any of that in for cash, I would know that the yields naturally for the silver and gold would be higher, and that would be my savings account. So if I ever needed to withdraw from that savings account, I could trade in that gold or the silver for a much higher price. So yeah, I'm always on the bandwagon of gold. I will always be on the gold bandwagon for sure. And I always try to buy gold when it's at its lowest price, if possible. Any questions, though? Take a look at the chat here real quick. Yeah, I think this is probably the worst argument is Free Angel's argument on that one. Just a bad argument. Like I said, I think that gold and silver are amazing, and they're the closest thing to sound money I could think of. I'd rather have gold and silver in a vault than a savings account for sure, because if you're saving cash, you're saving trash. I look at saving cash the same as like putting garbage in a savings account. It's pointless. It's future garbage. So I don't believe in saving dollars. I believe in saving assets. Because if the dollar is worthless, why would I save it? Like, that is a true and honest, sincere question. If the dollar is worthless, why would I bother saving it? Tell me that. It's a real question, man. It's a real one. It's a very sincere question too. More than people realize. So here's the thing. I think tech stocks are fantastic. I do think they're a little overvalued. They're actually way more overvalued than before. But I think it's because of the AI boom. And I do believe there's a bit of an AI bubble for sure. Will there be a correction in the tech stock sector? Certainly. Absolutely. That's bound to happen, you know. It all depends on the earnings. If earnings keep going up and up and up, then there won't be a correction. I mean, markets behave in different ways, and markets are dictated by people. People dictate the markets. It's just all there is to it. So, I look at it this way. If people dictate markets, then boom. Bitcoin may have been created as competition to the US dollar. There's really nothing to compete with. First off, I'm not saying that I'm not defending the dollar by any means. The dollar is really worthless. But Bitcoin is private money. Private money throughout history has been attempted and it's failed every time. Now, people may get hyped up and super sprung about things like Bitcoin. There's always some sort of stupid Ponzi scheme that gets socially accepted for the longest time and then suddenly crumbles when people least expect it. I think that's what's exactly happening with Bitcoin, my Clickcoin right now. Speaking of which, I'm going to check the overnight markets real fast because the overnight markets do kind of give you some sort of opportunity from time to time that you just don't expect. Oh yeah, Bitcoin, my Clickcoin is down, dude. Super down. Now, I think the best investment is a bet against Bitcoin using a leveraged ETF, using like the SBIT or the BIDI. You know, talk to your financial advisor about that, but yeah. But yeah, I'm doing a little bit of swing trading. I'm swing trading the Schwab large caps, like 750 different holdings. And while I've been swing trading the SBIT for quite a bit, I've been really I decided to start getting back into the swing of things, and swing trading the S&P 500 is actually a very smart idea in my opinion. Eventually, I'd like to swing trade the VT, which is the Vanguard Total World Index. I think that one's a little more worthwhile of swing trading just because of how hyper diversified it is naturally. But I'm one of those guys that I just love hyper diversified products. I just can't help it, man. And I'll always be on the side of hyper diversification if I can help it. Like, I don't know why anybody wouldn't be hyper diversified, man. I think diversification in all scales is the superior way to invest. And I'd like to see more people invest in that type of way, for sure. But yeah. Do you guys think I'm a bit of a madman, though? Do you guys think it's a crazy person's attempt to do this? Because the deal for me is, man, I gotta invest as much as possible. I don't invest everything at once, obviously, but I'm always in the market to invest, always. And stocks are the easiest ones to get into. I don't even have to borrow money if I don't want to. Sometimes I do, though, because I enjoy borrowing money to do that. But yeah, let's see. Dude, the S-bit is crazy. I love it. Also, the S-bit is kind of a hedge against the S&P 500, sort of. So check this out. I noticed that when Bitcoin crashes is typically when the S&P 500 crashes. Because here's the thing. I think most investors understand that Bitcoin's worthless. At least most institutional investors, I hope they do. And what happens is this: now that Bitcoin is so ingrained into the core financial system, if the S&P 500 goes up, everybody's investing into the S&P at that point, obviously. They're trying to. And then that means also people are getting into Bitcoin who don't know any better. So it kind of goes up and down with the S&P 500 nowadays. It wasn't always like that, but nowadays, because it's so ingrained in the financial system, that it's going to go up and down. That Bitcoin itself will go up and down with the S&P 500. I'm not saying that it's always going to be true, and I'm not even saying it should do that, because really, in all actuality, it shouldn't. People should know better. They should know that what they're dealing with is a Ponzi scheme beyond all Ponzi schemes. I'd like to think they would understand. It's not the case. It's not always the case, though, man. It's just not always the case, and it's unfortunate. So 10 Lightstar is asking, why does Bitcoin trade as a stock, or is that the inflation trading with interest rates and Fed chair speculation? So to be honest, even if the dollar becomes more worthless than it already is, because they keep pumping out more dollars and devaluing it, the dollar is not backed by anything, so technically it's intrinsically worthless. Bitcoin may have only a finite supply, that it can only ever be 21 million total. But Bitcoin, just because it has a finite supply, doesn't mean that it's worth anything either. Bitcoin's intrinsically worthless. Both the dollar and Bitcoin are intrinsically at zero because of their lack of being backed by anything of true value. They are just currencies. I mean, Bitcoin's really just a digital collectible, no different, in my opinion, than a V-Buck at this point. Except for V-Buck is a centralized in-game currency, but whatever. Bitcoin is not backed by the USA government. The American dollar is backed by the banknote, which is the dollar. So, I mean, like, here's the thing. I don't know about. Hold on. Give me a second. I need a moment. Give me a moment, folks. If you guys have any questions, leave your questions in the chat. Look, the dollar's worthless. It may be backed by the banknote, but the banknote itself doesn't really matter. Bitcoin's not backed by anything that matters. It's not backed by gold. It's not backed by anything. It's private, decentralized money. Therefore, it's worthless. And it's, like I said, it's not backed by gold or silver. What the hell's the point? Damn it. Damn it. I thought I'd be able to avoid this. I thought I'd be able to avoid this conversation with Tim Smith. I knew this day would come. Tim Smith is calling me out on the fact that I may or may not owe him reparations. You got me. You got me, Tim. Is it unfortunate? Yes. But Tim Smith, I guess I do owe you. I don't know what kind of reparations I owe you, but it'll probably be... Only thing I can offer you is Kool-Aid. Like, I got Kool-Aid. I got Bomb Pops. Bomb Pops are pretty good. No, I don't think I have those anymore. I think I have Jolly Rancher frozen popsicles. I do have diet soda that I like to drink. In fact, speaking of which, a diet soda party sounds pretty good right now. Tim Smith says Garza picked Booty Gay. I call him Booty Gay. Over me for his VP because he said I was too gay. Poor Tim. Poor Tim. He doesn't get the respect. He doesn't get the love. He doesn't get the love. He didn't get the love from me. I chose Booty Gay. Pete Booty Gay. Buttigieg. Buttigieg over Tim Smith. And for that, I apologize. I made one of the worst moves a fake political candidate could ever make. Tim, that was touching. Damn, that was touching. And eye-opening. I believe I understand the error in my ways. I don't know what to do. Hold on. And eye-opening. I believe I understand the error in my ways. I don't know what to do. Hold on. And eye-opening. All right. So Bryce Cooley says, at Tim Smith, Gavin Newsom will be the next president, not Pete Buttigieg. LOL. Tim Smith says, I typed in known Buffett's into Google looking for a 24-hour all-you-can-eat near my house, and this stream came up. I am wrecking. I may be wrecking the Google search algorithms. How did it come to this? How did it come to this? How did it ever come to this? I appreciate the honesty and the compassion. Tim Smith, the greatest of all time. Can I ever make it up to Tim Smith is the greatest question of all. Did I ruin everything? I don't know. What did I do? Make sure you guys like the stream, by the way. More likes, the better. We definitely can use the likes, for sure. It helps us grow. It helps make a certain part of me bigger. I want Buttigieg. I think Tim Smith and I want Buttigieg to be the president. We both believe in the Buttigieg. We don't believe Buttigieg is as gay as the world thinks he is. Where do we go from here? Give me 1 second, folks. I'm trying to move this to be a little more aligned, I guess you could say. 91. Okay. That's not too bad. Let's see. Eyeball it a little bit. That works. A little too far out. Hold on. There we go. How did it come to this? How did it ever come to this? Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, and super chats are highlighted in red first. Tap the dollar sign to skip the line. Now, however, Tim Smith is a longtime friend of the show. Also, just become a really cool friend across the border. So, really cool. Oh no, Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin my ClickCoin crashing? You guys, Bitcoin is done. And I could not be happier. Dude, Bitcoin is tumbling. Dude, this is a great opportunity for me to sell a portion of my SBIT. No way. No flipping way, dude. I was able to just sell one share of my SBIT for 31 bucks. That's crazy. Dog Eat Dog says, "Yo Garza, hope you're having a good one, brother." I am, dude. SBIT is coming in the clutch, is what I gotta say. So I'm kind of trickle selling my SBIT position. Interesting. Yeah, so 10 Lightstar. I'm doing after hours trading on the Robinhood app. That's one of the things I love. So I'm doing the overnight one, but I'm very specific. What I do is I like to sell. I like to do a limit sell where I won't accept any price lower than a certain amount. So for example, I did a limit sell where I said, look, $31 for this share is what I'm selling this at. But I bought SBIT at a pretty low price earlier today, and it's shooting up because, of course, it's going to go up because Bitcoin's crashing like crazy. That's the one thing I like about the overnight trading markets is I'm able to, if Bitcoin's making some crazy moves at night, I can at least take advantage and sell off the SBIT because I'll be able to get a good profit off of the trickle selling that I'm doing. Have you turned on your TV? Have you seen reality? Have you seen the program that you spent your whole life looking for? No, I'm not using a stop loss. I'm just doing a limit order. So I don't do stop losses. I just, if I want to sell, I sell at a higher price. So I'm doing a limit sell. So like, I don't really do stop loss ever. I really don't care about that because they believe Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme. So whenever SBIT goes up because Bitcoin's crashing, I tend to set up some limit sells in the overnight, so that way, like I get if it hits $31 per share in the after hours, somebody's willing to pay that amount for that share. I was able to just sell SBIT, one share of SBIT for 31 bucks. Really good. So Tim Smith is asking a very good question, and this is not financial advice by me. This is just personal preference only. So Tim Smith is asking if you could only buy one, which is better, SBIT or BITI. So it depends on your volatility tolerance. I prefer the SBIT. So it is a preference. Both are very fantastic. I do like the fact that SBIT uses swaps. I do like the fact that SBIT is minus 2x exposure to Bitcoin, which means it's an inversion of 2 times. So it's an inversion of 2 times whatever Bitcoin does. And here's a simple example to make it very clear. So BITI, so if Bitcoin goes up 5% in the day, BITI goes down 5% in the day. Biddy actually completely mirrors Bitcoin for the most part. If Bitcoin goes up 5%, Biddy's down 5%. If Bitcoin goes down 5%, Biddy is up 5%. Now, SBIT is the same principle. The only difference is this. It's 2 times up or down, right? So in the SBIT situation, if Bitcoin is up 5%, the SBIT is down 10%. Ooh, right? So if you think that Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme and you think that Bitcoin's gotten up way too high, you can make a massive profit from trickle buying and trickle selling the SBIT. Not financial advice. Talk to a financial advisor about this. This is my experience. Now, I love trickle buying and trickle selling the SBIT. It's something I like to do. You're basically able to profit off of the momentary volatility. It does take a little bit of time. I swing trade it. I don't day trade it because my portfolio doesn't enable. My portfolio is not enabled for day trading. Anyway, so in SBIT, in the land of the SBIT, right? The SBIT ETF. If Bitcoin goes up 5%, SBIT's down 10%. Remember, it's 2 times the inverse. It's the inverse, but 2 times the inverse. So, now let's say Bitcoin is down 5% for the day. Your position in Biddy goes up 10%. That's huge. Now, here's the thing. That level of volatility is a lot for people to swallow, and it's very tough for most people to get into it. That's why I trickle buy. Look, if you put all of your money into SBIT, that would be the dumbest thing you could do, right? If you see SBIT going down consecutive days, here's what I do. I don't think you should do this, but this is what I do. I buy into the SBIT as it dips because I don't believe in Bitcoin in any single way, shape, or form. I do firmly believe that that Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme, without a doubt. I don't know the answer to that question. Lightstar. Lightstar's question is, does Bitcoin tell the traders about institutional buying and selling? Lightstar, I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to that question. I'd like to. Do you know it? I'm just kidding. So Tim Smith says, right on. I'm looking at some SBIT to manage my risk against my large micro strategy position. It's not the worst idea in the world because honestly, at this point, strategies become synonymous with Bitcoin. There is actually you've heard of hold on, I don't know if you know about this, do you? So there is a yield max, not yield max, hold on. There is there an ETF that lets you easily bet against MicroStrategy? I'm looking this up on the Google real quick. Okay, so actually, if you wanted to bet against Michael Saylor himself, there's actually 2 funds that let you bet against MicroStrategies, surprisingly. So you could either directly bet against Bitcoin using I don't say directly. You can use a fund, a leveraged ETF. These are both leveraged ETFs, by the way. So there's the T-Rex 2X Inverse MSTR Daily Target ETF, and that ticker symbol is, I'll just put it in the chat real quick. This is not an endorsement, by the way, not an endorsement. I just want to make that very clear. But if people are looking for an ETF that lets you, in a sense, bet against Michael Saylor, if you think that Michael Saylor's an irresponsible CEO like I do, I think Michael Saylor might be the most irresponsible of all time. But this is one of those. The other one is actually, let me just put the full names on here. Once again, not I say financial because it's funnier. Not financial advice. This is the first one, and this is the second one. So, by the way, this is a Defiance. This one right here, the SMST, is a Defiance product, which means this is Sylvia Jablonski's ETF. We had her on the show. Fun fact. The CEO of Defiance ETFs, which makes, I don't know if this makes the show more legit or illegitimate. She was really fantastic, by the way. I still got to give kudos to her for even coming on the show. It was really cool. Considering my show is so wanky and wonky and just so crazy, you know? I'm actually going to put this up here real quick. So, Garza, are you the guy that got fired from T-Tech for splattering diarrhea all over the women's bathroom? Word gets out. I guess word gets out quickly. Jesus Christ. No. I got fired from T-Tech because my management was honestly treated me like crap. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I know it was discrimination. That's for sure. A level of targeting and discrimination. Not a fan of it at all. In fact, it made me sick. I felt physically sick just wanting to come into work when I tried to come into work. So I am much more happy. I am much happier now because I do DoorDash, which actually it pays me better doing DoorDash, shockingly. And I get to do this show and make a ton of money. You know, the money comes from the super chats and the memberships that I get. But, yeah. Odurus says, that's not what I heard. I worked there. I saw the diarrhea all over the place. Dude, I worked from home. Are you saying that I diarrheaed all over my own bathroom? Because I work from home. I've never even been in the T-Tech headquarters. The job was completely work from home for me. So, yeah, I guess based on what your rumor is, I shat everywhere. T-Tech is an awful company, by the way. And by the way, guys, you gotta stop. You guys gotta spell T-Tech correctly, for God's sakes. If you guys want to know the spelling of the company, it's T-Tech. And they're not a good company. They are bad. They are not good. Not good at all. ProShares announces ETF share splits. Well, I'm curious about that. Why not? Let's take a look. Oh, yeah, no, that's so a reverse stock split is basically making it to where it consolidates the shares. So there's less shares in circulation. So, for example, this one was a 1-for-5 reverse stock split. What that essentially means, for every 5 shares of SBIT that I owned, for every 5, I would trade in 5 shares of SBIT for 1 share, right? And people are wondering, why would you do this? Doesn't that knock down the value? In fact, quite the opposite. It doesn't change the overall holdings that you have because you're trading a 5-for-1. So a 1 in 5 reverse stock split goes like this. Let's say all I had was 5 shares in this instance of SBIT. Those 5 shares would be traded for 1. All right. And the value, by the way, of your holdings doesn't actually change, if that makes sense. Like your overall net value. Now the share price does adjust accordingly. So let's do simple math just to make this very easy to understand, okay? Let's assume in this scenario that I have 5 shares of SBIT. Each share is worth $10, okay? $10, $10, $10, $10, $10, $10. That's a total of what? $50 in the holding, right? So I got a total of $50 of SBIT. That's great. Now, all of a sudden I hear, oh no, reverse stock split, blah, 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 1 in 5. What does that mean? So what that means is those 5 shares that I have, remember, each $10 a piece in this scenario, are going to be traded for 1, right? And remember, these are all worth $10 a share in this hypothetical. So I'm going to trade these 5 shares. Whoop. Those 5 shares are now 1, okay? So now what's the share price of that 1 that I just received after trading in those 5? The share price is now $50 per share. Oh, and what do you know? That 1 share that I just received for exchanging those 5 is $50. So the overall value of your holdings don't change in a reverse stock split. It's usually seen as a negative thing in most situations, but in this instance, it was kind of needed because Bitcoin was going on a bull run, and of course the SBIT's supposed to go down like it's supposed to. It's an inverse product. You know, I hope that makes sense. Oh, man. But yeah, I'm going to start swing trading a little bit more often as well for a little extra income. Just the other day, a little out of reach, my friend. I need to look at the waiver wires real quick. Hold on, folks. Make sure you guys provide us with a super chat. Helps the channel grow. I'll try to answer your guys' questions. So, 10. Okay, so 10 light star. You're not understanding what I'm saying. This is not there. Oh, it's an inverse product. You just have less shares. There's no actual Bitcoins. SBIT is not. It's a leveraged product. Essentially, it has what are called swaps, and it doesn't own any actual Bitcoin within the fund. You're basically just betting against the price of the product. I'm not going to go into explanations, but really the best way to look at the SBIT is it's a way to bet against Bitcoin itself. It's a way to bet against Bitcoin, okay? You're profiteering from the downfall of a certain financial product is really what the whole core is. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Yeah, so they went through. Okay, so here's the thing. They went through a few. The reason that they're saying that they started at 1,500 a share is because technically they went through a few reverse stock splits, is what happened. So what that means is that when they initially started, they actually weren't that much per share. Like, but because of the amount of reverse splits that have happened, they in theory should have been. I guess it's a weird process. So, so post reverse split, when you look at like the 5-year averages, it's gonna say like it was at 1,100 something because depending on the amount of reverse splits that happened, it's gonna inflate those numbers a little bit more. It's still accurate by all technicality, based on the amount of number of shares. There's a few interesting equations. So what I'm trying to say is that you essentially have to take into account the amount of reverse splits that have already happened for a couple of them. Now, I'm not saying it's a smart idea to get into these specific ones that bet against micro wiener strategies. Like I said, I prefer the S-bit because I do think Bitcoin is capped, and I do think eventually it's going to go woo right down. Even though I already own Bitcoin, I don't know. I just think that Bitcoin's dumb. Berkshire Hathaway has gone through stock splits, if I remember right. Yeah, I think they've gone through stock splits. All I gotta say is I'd be surprised if they didn't. Now, Berkshire is very expensive, though. And maybe they never have. That is a possibility, too. They do, okay, I know they have Class A shares, which are really expensive, but their Class B shares are less expensive. So, Class B is just as, in my opinion, just as all right as Class A. So, if Class A is too much, which I think it's too much for a lot of people, Class B is pretty good. Also, you could get ETFs that hold Berkshire Hathaway stock in them. So you would at least get exposure to Berkshire Hathaway through those particular ETFs. So that's something to keep in mind at the bare minimum. One moment. Have you turned on your TV? Have you seen reality? Have you seen the program that you spend your whole life looking for? Cheers, everybody. We're drinking a Barks root beer. So yeah, eventually if you go through enough reverse splits, the history of the product is going to look a little more inflated than it actually is. It's tough to explain why that's true, because I'm not good at explaining. I understand the math visually in my head. Like, it makes sense on a visual basis. I just don't know the proper verbiage to explain. You know what I mean? Why it was, because when it first started, it wasn't technically 1,500 per share because there were more shares at the time, because there weren't any reverse splits yet. And since there's been so many reverse stock splits since that occurred, I know it kind of wraps the head a little bit weird, but since there's been so many, there's actually technically less shares in the pool, which means that each share is a certain value. Now, the value of some of these leveraged ETFs, they do go down. They are kind of dangerous. And here's the thing, man. If micro wiener strategies keeps going up and up and up and up and up, I mean, hey, at least you got your covered call thing. That's cool. But if you do want to if you want to protect some of your downside, though, leveraged ETFs are not bad. Just be aware that you may lose some value in those. Now, you also may gain a lot of value, by the way. Keep this in mind. You get enough of those shares and suddenly micro wiener strategies crashes. I mean, you'll make bank on those. You'll make bank on some of those. Just depends. If you think that micro wiener strategies is about ready to take a nosedive, which I've been thinking I've been assuming it was going to take a nosedive for quite a while, along with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has held on longer and gone up faster than I anticipated. But I've been making money off of this volatility, man, because it goes up rapidly, it goes down rapidly. So I'm able to quickly buy, sell, profit. And they're micro profits. They're not like fat. They're not like super fat profits by any means. Hopefully, Tim, that makes sense. I know it gets a little wild, man. But yeah, so like when they first started, they weren't technically like at that amount because, like I said, they still had more shares. Let's see. Ten Light Star. I had no idea what you're talking about, brother. But I actually do really enjoy the Vanguard Total World Index, though. But I gotta admit, some of the Schwab ETFs are pretty cool. Being able to swing trade some of those is pretty sexy. Let's see. 10 Light Star says there are variations of Bitcoin, some illegal. Reverse splitting is going to slow down trading sales. I mean, yeah, there won't be as many trades, I guess, because the shares will get a little more expensive when the reverse split happens. So people, sometimes they tend to sell off on the shares a little bit. That happens. Berkshire, I still don't. When it comes to leveraged ETFs, sometimes a reverse split is just inevitable if the product that you're betting against tends to go up a little bit more than one anticipated. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that one was, like I said, because of all the reverse splits, the history of the share price gets a little warped. It's still accurate. It's assuming, okay, to explain it a little further, during a reverse split, what happens is this. Let's say that this is the first time a reverse split ever happened, right? And you have tons and tons of shares, right? What a reverse split does is it shrinks the overall number of shares in the pool, right? That's why in a reverse split, you're trading away a certain amount of what you own for like 1. So sometimes there's a 1 in 10 reverse split where, like, let's say you had 10 shares or more. For every 10 shares you own, you get 1 share back, one of the new shares. So reverse split, essentially the whole goal behind a reverse split is to consolidate, have less shares in the overall pool, but make it to where the value of the overall company and all the overall holdings that people have doesn't really change. So before a reverse split and after a reverse split, your equity still remains the same. If you had $100 of SBIT before the reverse split, after the reverse split, you'll still have a grand total of $100 worth of SBIT. Now, of course, next day people might trade off a little bit. It happens. But But yeah, it's to bring the price up. Exactly. The price up per share. It makes it to where it's basically holding the correspondence. Because like there's a certain minimum share price that you need to have, like in the NASDAQ or the stock market, to be tradable in whether it's the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ, whatever it may be. Yeah, it's a big deal, man. But yeah, I mean, the overall value of what you hold doesn't actually change, which is great. So some dude says, well, you can trade on the pink sheets, but yeah, anything less than $10 is considered low price these days. Oh, man, I just love... Here's the thing, man. Some dude, I love betting against Bitcoin. I will always love betting against Bitcoin. I'm not going as hard as I used to on betting against it, but I will say this. There's nothing that gets... I mean, there are things that get me randy, obviously. But... when it comes to like what gets me super duper randy is I mean it, I love betting against a lot of this stuff, man. A lot of Bitcoin. I love betting against Bitcoin. But yeah, I hope it all makes sense. I know it gets a little confusing sometimes, but it's very fun. It's very sexy. Here's the thing, man. I think the market's probably still going to go up. If it doesn't, I'm going to be buying more of the SEHX. And if Bitcoin continues to fall, good. Very good. Bitcoin, my clickcoin, dude. Heck yeah. Yeah, Bitcoin is so dumb. I'm sorry, you guys. Look, I don't like Bitcoin. I do think it's a Ponzi scheme. Every fiber of my being believes it's a Ponzi scheme. A decentralized Ponzi scheme at that. It is my opinion at the end of the day. I'm just shocked. I'm just shocked that a lie is being broadcast as the truth. You know? And some people don't know any better, man. But Bitcoin is phony baloney dildo money. It doesn't matter. And the sooner people get that through their head, the better. But it's just people don't seem to want to. And more power to them, though. If they want to be that ignorant, they want to get into something like Bitcoin, fine by me. But it's risque. Okay, you guys, I'm going to do one more live video. This is going to be the creme de la creme of live videos next. I'm not going to tell you guys what the live video is about, but thank you, Tim Smith, my good friend Tim Smith, for the questions. Hopefully you're able to give yourself a little bit of leverage against your micro strategy holdings. At least it's super volatile. You know, and I will say, you might be able to make a big profit, maybe a big bang off the downturn of MicroStrategies. Who knows? The future will only tell. I still think that Michael Saylor is a big grifter. I think he's promoting a Ponzi scheme. That's all there is to it, man. All right. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are amazing, as always, and make sure that you have yourself an incredible night. We'll be doing one more show for the night. It's going to be big. It's going to be huge. I'm going to answer one more question before we go. Also, make sure before we go, provide us with a super chat, and it will help us out a lot. More super chats we have, the more it keeps the lights on this show. So I appreciate any super chats that are sent our way. So 10 Lightstar says, can you trade Bitcoin on margin? Yes, not directly. I mean, depends on a few things. So some crypto exchanges, if I remember correctly, I think give you the ability to do margin, but I don't know about that. You're going to have to do some fact checking on your own. What I would recommend doing, because I've never looked to see if I could trade Bitcoin on margin, because I think Bitcoin's worthless and I would never borrow money to actually trade Bitcoin itself. I would borrow money to bet against Bitcoin, though, if that means anything. But yeah, there are Bitcoin spot ETFs. So if you do have a standard brokerage account like a Robinhood or a Charles Schwab, for instance, you could, in theory, you could borrow money through margin, basically, and buy those Bitcoin spot ETFs. I still think it's a bad idea, and it's not financial advice. Talk to a financial advisor. Do your homework. I think it's a stupid idea. I think borrowing money to buy Bitcoin is stupid, even if you're just trading it temporarily, because it's so risky. Trading on margin can start as much as 9% or more. I mean, I use Robinhood Gold, so I'm only paying 5%, 5.5% margin. So it's not that bad. All these companies are going to be calling themselves Bitcoin. Penny stocks are pretty... Don't fall for every penny stock that's out there. Sometimes, I swear, there's so many penny stock Ponzi schemes that happen. It's just crazy. Pump and dumps for days. A lot of Jordan Belforts out there, man. Far too many. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to view this video. Make sure that you guys do things with the like button. Do things with the subscribe button. See y'all in the next episode. Oh, hold on. IPO scams? Yeah, there's some IPO scams out there for sure. Keep that in mind, man. There's some public offerings that I'm like, why is this company going public? Its balance sheets are trash. Or its product is trash. Why is, Klarna? Klarna went public recently, and I'm like, dude, it has a failing business model. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Klarna at all. I think it's bullshit. Ford Femboy says, GG Unk. Have a good night, brother. All right. See you guys in the next episode. We're going to be broadcasting one more live stream after this one. I'll see you guys there.